15 years ago, an absolutely mad W12 6-litre version of the Volkswagen Touareg was released. But you know what? Even that was no match for this, the Toureg R. Subscribe to see the first drives of New Zealand's newest and best cars driven on New Zealand roads in New Zealand conditions. So let's start with the headline. This is the most powerful production Volkswagen ever. That is a heck of a headline. But unlike the W12 or that bonkers V10 diesel version, this 2024 Touareg is also about efficiency. You see, a fair chunk of the 340 kilowatts, that's 455 brake horsepower by the way, comes from electrics. So for all the performance, there's also a whole lot of efficiency at play. This is VW's flagship, so by default, this is as good as a Volkswagen gets. And on the road, there is no question that this is a worthy rival to those big SUVs from Mercedes-Benz, BMW and Audi. And the Audi is an interesting point because the Touareg shares its platform, all the stuff you can't see, with the Q7. And it doesn't stop there. That same MLB Evo architecture is also used to build the Porsche Cayenne, Bentley Bentayga, even the Lamborghini Urus. If it was a thoroughbred horse, you'd be paying top dollar for that sort of bloodline. Up to $600,000 to be exact. Remember though, the Touareg wears the badge of the people's car, so it starts at $111,000 at Giltrap Volkswagen. This though is the top model, so $159,990, which places it $8,000 below the Audi Q7, which shares the same drivetrain. And thanks to whatever quirk of design, the Touareg is actually more powerful, just slightly 5 more kilowatts. It's also 0.3 of a second quicker to 100 k's an hour. For the record, 0 to 100, 5.1. In many ways, it comes down to the badge, and speaking of badges, the Touareg has Volkswagen up in lights. The hybrid powertrain and history-making power are the bragging points, but it's the midlife facelift which has given the Touareg an added edge. It's a long way from the cuddly original, and if the rear lights are for show, the fronts are the Touareg de force. 38,000 LEDs literally dance to give you the best possible view at night time. And tech is also on show inside, where there are 27 inches of screen. VW call this inner vision, and forget any cockpit analogies. This is like mission control. You can create your own layout, and it can be controlled by touch gestures or voice control. But for all the tech, it's the comfort that stands out above everything else. To start with this 4-zone climate control and Italian leather seats. And to be eco-minded, they've been tanned using olive leaf extract. And the rear seats slide back to add to that limo feel, and check out this, they also recline. I'm not kidding about that limo vibe. We're on coarse chip back roads right now, and this thing is properly quiet and refined. In fact, I would actually go as far as saying the ride is Bentley-esque. The air suspension plays a big part in that, allowing the Touareg to deliver a super compliant ride or a firmer, sort of sporty ride. And I mean sort of. It tightens things up, yes, but it never feels ready for a few laps of Hampton Downs. And maybe it shouldn't. It's a big car, nearly 2.5 tons. The 8-speed auto is good, but it's more smooth and racy. I suppose in some ways it's no fighter jet. This is a private jet. That's why, for me, the Touareg is closer to a Bentayga than it is to an Urus, Cayenne, or even Q7 or Q8. VW can make as much noise as they like about the power of this car, but it's actually the silence that stands out, the refinement. And when you're in all-electric mode like I am right now, it's properly serene. And for the record too, up to 53 k's of all-electric range on a full charge. That 100 kilowatt electric motor also gives this car an official consumption figure of 1.9 litres per 100. But whether you call that range official or theoretical, the reality is it's enough to use this car as a pure EV during the working week. And then the hybrid nature means there's plenty of fun and, yes, power to enjoy it on the weekends. I love so much of the tech of this car, but one thing, I'm sorry, it's not winning me over. These haptic buttons on the steering wheel, especially the steering wheel heater. You just bump it with your hand when you do a tight corner. You don't even know you've turned it on until your hands sort of get hot and clammy. You wonder what's going on. Probably wouldn't be so bad in the winter, but right now, nah. Back to the air suspension, which can raise the car up based on which drive mode you select. So there is some genuine off-road capability. That air suspension also means the car can lower down to make loading easier. And as for loading, 655 litres of storage, 1645 if you fold the seats. And how's this a rarity for a hybrid? This will still tow 3.5 tonne. Look, I know that's a whole lot of numbers, but they are pretty impressive for a hybrid. You know, usually the tow rating is reduced in one of these cars, but not in this case. And that battery, well, it takes up some luggage space. We should point out the boot is still bigger than the BMW X5s. I know I said at the start this is the most powerful Volkswagen ever. That is the headline after all. What it's not, though, is a sports car. But that's not a criticism. It doesn't need to be. So it is well and truly worthy of an A, but I'm not totally convinced it's worthy of that R, unless R stands for refined rather than racing. It's incredibly composed, supremely comfortable, and thanks to that hybrid powertrain, it can be amazingly quiet and obviously efficient. This is a worthy flagship for Volkswagen.